So what moments could you and I think about redeeming? Moments that we could focus on. I just want to give you three to think about. This is kind of like a little starter kit. What about the first hour when you wake up? What about the last hour before you go to sleep? And what about meal times? Just those 3 moments during your day. Listen, God has the ability to stop time. In fact, there's another scripture just to point out to you that I just think is so beautiful. It's 2 Peter 3:8, when it says, it is, I think, why God has such focus. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years. And 1,000 years is like a day. But think about that idea, a day is like 1,000 years. I did the math for you on this. If a year for Jesus is like 1,000 years, do you know that every second is longer than 4 days? Every second is longer than 4 days. So when Jesus is in this crowd of people and this woman reaches out and touches it, it's like, boop, that was only like a second of time. But you know what, for him? Like 4 days. I'm like looking around. Oh, there's Bob. There's Peter. Right? There's Bob, and he's going around thinking about all the people, all the things going on in their life. Oh, and here's this lady. Here she comes. It's taken her about a year to get to me through this crowd. That's okay. I got all the time I need. I got all the time I need. Because every second for you is like, that's like 4 days for me. And so she starts approaching, and he's just watching. Come on, Lee. Come on, girl. You're going to get your healing. He had all the time in the world. Now listen, Peter here, honestly, with the Lord, 1,000 days is like a million years. Like a million years is like a day. He's just using these terms and this math, not like, okay, God, this is your calendar. No, he's using this illustratively. And like this is just an illustration, these numbers he's putting up here, because God, he's saying, is outside of time. He is not bound to our human calendars, and he literally can stop time because time was his creation. His creation. In fact, if you're on different planets that he created, time is really different. Time speeds up or slows down based on how fast that planet is moving around the sun, right? How fast that planet is spinning. We measure time not the way it's measured throughout the universe. God is the author of time. So how do we learn from this, and how do we learn to be more focused in the moment? There's a story that's probably familiar to most, but let's just read through it with new eyes. It's found in Luke chapter 10, starting in verse 38. It says, as Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened up her home to him. Thank you, Martha. But Martha had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted. It's almost like Martha had an iPhone in her hand when Jesus was there. Right? I mean, this would be like, this would be our current reality. Let's put this into like today's terms. Martha said, Jesus, come on over. Right? And there's her sister, iPhone free, sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to Jesus, undivided. But Martha was distracted by lots of things. Martha was distracted by all the preparations, all the apps, all the Candy Crush, all the Insta stories, all the reels, all the TikTokers. Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Tell her to be distracted. Don't you know this is normal behavior? Don't you know this is just the way the life works? Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things. Many. You're distracted, Martha. But few things are needed. Or indeed, only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Mary was focused. She was focused. And Jesus says, this is better. Now listen, I think we can spiritualize this and say, well, of course it was better because Jesus was right there. But you know what? What if this wasn't about Jesus? What if this was a child in the house? Would the story be any different? What if it was one of their spouses that was in the house? Would it have been different? Living distracted or living focused? Which one is better? See, I think, sure, we can spiritualize this, and obviously, it's right there in the text. We can see that Jesus was there. And living in this undivided attention to Jesus was much better than running around cleaning the house. Being distracted by many things, but don't miss the larger narrative. The larger narrative being that living distracted is not better. Living distracted is actually problematic. Mary was present in the moment because of her focus. So what moments could you and I think about redeeming? Moments that we could focus on. I just want to give you three to think about. This is kind of like a little starter kit. What about the first hour when you wake up? What about the last hour before you go to sleep? And what about meal times? Just those 3 moments during your day. That first time when you wake up, what do you normally do? Scrolly. I can fall right into the same thing. I'm preaching to myself. What about that last hour before we go to sleep? Research has also shown if we put away all digital devices, turn off the TV, put away phones, actually put them in another room is recommended. Because if they're present, we're always we're even distracted just by the presence of an iPhone, smartphone. If we put it to bed an hour before we go to bed, do we actually sleep better? Do you want more sleep? Practice focus? Not bad? But those 3 times, they're not only good for our soul and our mind and our sleep, but those times are uniquely helpful when we get up, before we go to bed, and at meal times, to really practice focusing on being undivided from others. Maybe you have a spouse in your home. Maybe you're looking for more time to spend with Jesus. Pastor, you keep talking about 260 and reading a chapter every day through the New Testament. How will I ever find time? Okay, fair. Good question. Now, what if we were to practice focus? What if we were to redeem, even just that hour when we get up, or that hour before we go to bed? Reading a chapter in the New Testament, if you just read through it, if you read it out loud, takes an average of 5 or 6 minutes. Might we redeem time, have more time? And then meal times, whether you're with your family or whether you are with someone else. Or even if it's just you at the table, you and Jesus, processing your day, thinking about where I am in my journey, thinking about understanding the time in which I live. 3 moments of each day that I believe that we could redeem. And listen, like I said, I'm preaching to myself. Out of the 3 of those, I think Kelly and I do best right now with our meal times. We put away our phones, don't have phones at the table. It's kind of a rule we established quite a while ago. We're pretty good at that. But we have a lot to learn about the beginnings and endings of our day to redeem time, have more time.